damage. Execration, for their part, they start with the Hoodwink and the TA. Now, we've seen a lot of Hoodwink. It has been fairly successful for the most part, but it also kind of falls flat towards certain points of the game. It does need like something to tie it together. Like a big AoE stun would really help out the cause for the Hoodwink. Allows you to really maximize big bushwhacks down the line. The TA is just a very stable mid laner to have in that sense as well. So Execration do have a nice win condition coming out. This is a Bob special. We talked about Bob Puck a little bit. The TA is really probably his best hero, and we'll just have to see again if Bob can deliver, as the performance for Execration with Bob and with Raging has been, again, pretty mixed. We'll have to see if he's here to wreck today or here to build today for the other side, as, he, on the mid, he tends to really dictate the pace for every team he's played for, so a lot does fall on Bob with that TA here.
Yeah, it certainly does, and Bob's been... It's been a bit of a rough time for Bob recently, hasn't it, John? I mean, the past couple series we've been watching, it hasn't been the greatest, to say the least. Naturally, hard matchups, it can be a little bit tough, but we'll see if he can kind of rectify the issues that he was having earlier on in the last couple days we've been watching. We'll see very, very soon. I mean, it wasn't too bad, naturally, because they did get a 2-1 victory over MY, so I guess in the end it didn't really matter too much, but, we expect we expect very big things from Bob, right? So we want to see some great things here in this series, and well, the draft will continue, of course. Army Geniuses, 4th pickup now. Sand King, Mirana, Phoenix, hell of a lot of team fight coming out for this Radiant side. We need to see 2 more cores, though. Carry, mid lane, still lacking right now for Army Geniuses. I suppose you could go for the Wami hero right now if you want, but you haven't got that Mars or Timber. Instead, they're going to go for the Pos one for DB. They'll get the Wraith King up.
Yep, it's a stable core for DB. We've seen him play this a couple of times. Gives him really good push to play with as well. I am still keen to see if AG flexes the Sand King mid or off. I still feel like Sand King off is a way to go with the Mirana, but up against a TA, Sand King mid can kind of work out. You can at least burn through the Refraction, and they're going to have to invest in sentries. For Execration, they pick up the Brewmaster. And that could be our Raging Potato here. In fact, I'd go and say it is our Raging Potato here. BDZ should be on the Hoodwink 4. So we're still looking for a support and a safe lane coming out for Execration. The Palos and the BDZ hero, the RR hero in that lane. And they should be a bit careful. I mean, there's still that flex on AG. If you pick something unfavorable against the Sand King, could just get run down. They do go with a Kunkka, so this could set up for... the safe lane Kunkka again for Execration. We have seen Palos do that before while they still run the Bob TA mid. We have seen some teams go into the Kunkka safe, but of course you can still flex that. You can still go TA safe instead for Palos. I just feel like when you've got Bob on your team, you might as well give Bob the TA.
Why the hell not? Let's see what they do, though. They're keeping it quite flexible here for the side of Execration. Couple more banouts to come for Army Geniuses and Execration before we do see this draft over and done with. Interesting ban out there from Execration as well. They do get rid of the Husker. I am wondering now. In fact, I was bringing up Wami before, but that's not who I meant. I meant the mid lane, right? We're looking at Mamang Daya. What are you looking at for Mamang Daya here? If there was a hero that would be suitable against TA and Kunkka, because you're not going to know which one it's going to be yet.
Yeah, it's fairly open. I think the Husker would have been a nice pick, but the Spirit Brothers, Ember would have been nice if it wasn't banned as well. Maybe you could go, I don't know, Void Spirit could tie it in as well. Maybe Alina could be one way to handle that with a right-click damage. Execration to close out with a Bat Rider. So they're going for a support 5 Brew, and Army Geniuses do close out with the Darkseer. So they are going with the mid Sand King, it looks like, for... No, mid Darkseer for Mamang Daya. The Wami Sand King still there. That is a switch up. That's an interesting switch up from AG. We'll have to see how much Mamang Daya can get. Now, the Iron Shell is kind of one way to handle TA. You can burn through Refraction. You can still clear out the wave. You can use Surge to grab Water Runes early on, so you do have the mobility to play with for Mamang Daya to control mid. Not something we see too often. In fact, not something I think you and I have casted at all. So this is something new. We'll see if AG does make new work their way as Execration. They are going with the Palos TA. So they're not going for the Bob TA. They're going to go for the Bob Kunkka. and the Raging Potato off-lane Batrider. They're running that Brewmaster support as well, which again has been popping up in the region a little bit more. Always fun to see. We'll have to see how much RR can get out in the pause 5, but you've got great control on Execration's end, at least in terms of single target control. AG has a little bit better AoE control with a Vac Wall, with the Egg coming out, with a Sand King, like Sand King plus Darkseer, Iron Shell on Wami down the line, with a Vac and Burrow Strike initiation. That's pretty scary coming out from AG.
Certainly is, John. But I'm going to ask you the hard question. You've said you seem to like AG's draft, but is this the better draft in this series? And this is the game 1.
I think it's fairly close in draft. I would say if you're looking for tempo, AG might have a pretty good pace to play with, as long as they look to keep fighting around their spells. So they have to kind of time themselves around Egg, not really the wall, but more of just the Vac and the Epicenter from Wami. Those are the big ones you have to really use often. So it's mainly down to Sand King, Phoenix, Mamangaya joining in every now and again. The win condition towards the late game for Execration feels nicer. Like, they do have the TA. It can scale really fast. We have seen Raid Kings fall flat, even with some farm. So I think you don't necessarily want to push it too late there. On the side of AG, they do have to play a pretty quick pace, kind of punish out the side of Execration for going, I wouldn't say completely greedy, but still fairly greedy. Pawns 5 Brewmaster down the line is going to have to start saving up for Ags. Kunkka on the mid doesn't take as much, but he does have to be active for his team. The TA and the Batrider are the ones that are really greedy. Like, Palos will need Dragonlance, Deso, Blink. Batrider's going to need his Travels Blink as well. And that can take some time to farm up. And that will eat into a lot of jungle space between those two heroes. If they lose their jungle early, AG might just be able to shut them out.
Absolutely. Should be a very interesting game 1. It does feel like both teams may be quite evenly matched going into this series. It looks like the betting odds are favoring Execration, which you do kind of expect. About 2-to-1 odds, you know, if I wanted to do some quick math there. At least for Execration, you know. They are the favorites is what I'm trying to say, John.
Oh yeah, like again, historically, Execration has been on top. They have, they've played in the upper div as well. They have been to the major. AG in comparison just hasn't had that same experience. Although you can see AG, they still feel they're laying onto Palos for whatever reason.
Oh, poor old Palos. Oh, Bounty Rune's going to spawn up. It'll be a 2-for-2 trade. I'm still wondering, are we actually seeing a mid Darkseer? And yeah, we are. We are actually seeing a mid Darkseer here from AG. Very curious to see how this one goes. Like, what's the idea behind this mid Darkseer? Like, is it... I know the hero's kind of busted if you can rush a quick Ags with the double charges of Iron Shell plus the extra HP. And even the duration, having a plus 20 second, is quite nice. I imagine that's what the build must be here for Mamangaya. Like, it must be an Ags rush.
Yeah, just so much durability that comes out with that, and the double charge just means that you've got basically a lot of burst damage on hand to fly out in the team fight, and lots of protection as well. And the matchup actually works out. Like, I think the TA would have been a little bit rougher as levels went on, but up against the Kunkka, sure, you're going to get hit by the Tidebringer. You might line yourself up for the Torrent. You still have the mobility advantage with Surge down the line, and it's a melee hero, so you can kind of bully out Bob here a bit with the Iron Shell. So you do have a little bit of a good time in clearing out these waves from Mamangaya. Bob is going to have to watch his spacing just a bit, but if you can land those torrents again and again with the Tidebringer, you shouldn't struggle too hard.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? Like, the Darkseer needs some, at least level 2 Iron Shell to really feel like he can stand there and kind of man fight with Bob. Still top lane, you've got RR and Palos there. They're going to be up against LYM and Wami. RR doing some great job already at harassing LYM out. And it kind of goes back to the last series where you were pointing out that the Brewmaster has a very similar job to the Ogre Magi. Just run up, hit people, spam a few spells. That's about it. It's just very hard to deal with this Pos 5 Brewmaster.
Yeah, it's just really disruptive, has a ton of HP regen on hand, such a huge amount of HP as well that you can just throw your body for it. Now, you have to watch yourself for Palos, like even with level 2, Refraction is just not quite enough to save you. It's still easy enough to burn, but they're running Wami.
Yeah, and he's got no Burrow Strike, nor does he have mana, so Wami's gonna die. And that's one of the things you really can't underestimate, is the amount of damage you can do with Cinderbrew and Thundercrap at Thunderclap is what I was meant to say at level 2. Excuse my French. It's a lot of damage, John, is what I'm trying to say.
Definitely is. And, you know, Paulus is going for that laning start on the TA, has the meld ready. So the minus armor you apply as well on that hit on Wami drops him down into the negatives. So you get so much value in terms of harassment. Sand King just not a high armor hero. And that is one way to kind of get that rundown going. So great first blood pickup here for Execration. Their control of the lane's pretty good as well. Paulus is having no issues farming under the tower. You're going to be able to control up the lane, and you're already off to a good start.
Jeez, DB even dropping on the Wraith King, and I mean, Raging Potato on the Batrider is going to be a real big problem for this Wraith King, at least until he has hit that level 6 mark and has the reincarnation. Of course, UK on the Phoenix can't really do much about it either. Like, what does the Phoenix do against the Batrider? Not much.
No, it's a really slow lane for AG to play with here. They've got so much range here in Execration. They've got good damage. It's a melee hero against Batrider. It never feels good, no matter who you're running. And as you mentioned, like Wraith King Phoenix, there is potential to be aggressive. Say, get the blast, land a couple of fire spirits. You can burn heroes down. It's slow damage. The output of a Batrider and of a Hoodwink's just much higher early on, and I think AG's going to have to pace themselves on the safe lane. Just play a lot calmer. Maybe start to look for some early stacks from UK if possible, but they can't really afford to fully commit unless Raging Potato's out of mana, which he is.
That is the case right now for Raging. He's going to be fine, though. He's not really being chased down. Like, UK, he can do a little bit of damage with the fire spirits, but ultimately it looks like DB just wants to spend his time catching up in terms of CS. The creep wave is going to start pushing its way towards the Dire Tower anyway, so Raging, he's going to be able to secure some CS underneath the tier 1. No problems for him. Looking back at the mid lane, still a fairly even matchup, surprisingly. Among Dire, couple CS behind, but shouldn't be too hard for him to catch up. I have looked back multiple times now and seen Among Dire very low in HP. His Bob has just been really harassing him out with that Tidebringer. I suppose Among Dire, he can always go to the side camps and farm them very easily, which I suppose is partially why the Darkseer mid was chosen, is the efficiency of being able to farm those side camps as well.
Yeah, it's just really quick for Among Dire, and if they manage to get a couple of stacks going, even those stacks are going to be relatively easy for the Darkseer with the Iron Shell at level 3. They can play with the X here, though.
Road's going to connect. He tried to surge himself away, but BDZ's there with the Bushwhack, and Bob is going to be able to set up for a nice Tidebringer. BDZ, he's a great pos for in that way. He always finds the perfect time to rotate. Meanwhile, bottom lane, however, they might lose UK, who's still standing in the fire. UK, he really waits for the last second to get out of there and barely survives. Raging was trying to go after the Phoenix kill, but ultimately will be forced to back off now on the Batrider. So he'll go back to the fountain and get himself... No, he won't go back to the fountain. He'll just pop a Clarity and he'll make his way back into the lane instead.
Yeah, I don't think he's under too much stress here. He can just sit back, keep soaking, maybe wait for Regen to come out on his supports. BDZ does have a Urn with a charge, so once he shows up back in lane, it should be something he can manage. UK looking to snag a bounty Urn, but BDZ, UK is fairly low here.
He is. Bounty actually does go the way of UK, so BDZ unable to outclick the Phoenix. Bushwhack is on cooldown. UK is doing a lot of damage. He has the Icarus Dive available, but Fairy Fire BDZ, he's going to survive through it. And now Bob's here. He just needs the X out, but Mamang Dai is going to try and cut him off and gets a nice surge, but no, it's not enough anyway. Bob's just going to dance his way to victory, but still, stick charges. UK is still alive, but not quite. It won't be enough. And now Bob, he'll make a chase onto Mamang Dai, but without the X off cooldown, he can't really lock down the Darkseer.
Step lively now.
Yeah, you're still really happy here for Execration. While you're playing around there, RR gets some space on mid to soak EXP. Your side lanes aren't suffering from the support showing all over the place. Palos is at 6 now. He can manage this lane with a value point in side blades, and 3 levels up into refraction, so Wami can't really harass him out. We haven't seen the Burrow Strike arrow combos, and now Execration finds its stacks, and Bob can just clear them out before the Darkseer can.
Yeah, this is something you really don't want if you are Army Geniuses, right? Like, you kind of need every advantage you can get with drafts like these. Especially against a team like Execration, which is they're gonna push the envelope. Lasso is gonna be onto DB. He's still level 5. They just get him down. BDZ, he has the bushwhack. He will connect as Raging. He still has plenty of time on the Firefly, but does he get the damage out in time? Stick charges there, and DB's gonna survive. Oh, they got both of them. DB makes it through all the damage output. To make matters worse for Execration, they lose both their heroes.
Yeah, that's a pretty deep dive from Execration. They don't respect the damage output of UK with level 2 Fire Spirit, just burned them right through as they dive in. And DB, he was kind of protected by the level 3 Vampiric. So he's got a lot of lifesteal. He turns around with a crit. He's suddenly topped up for a little bit longer. And again, playing on edge, but it does pay off here for AG. So they find their first 2 kills on a pretty good hero. Execration are still feeling good. Like, they are ahead by a good amount on these 2 big cores of the TA and Kunkka. And you have to watch about giving too much to Bob.
Yeah, Bob's doing so much. Oh, that's a very interesting Icarus dive, UK. I think he was trying to go after a courier.
You don't have the sign.
I'm not 100% sure. It may have been a misclick, but I think he was trying to snipe a courier.
Yeah, could have been. We have seen a couple of Phoenix players, accidentally hit that Q and end up in the wrong way. Now DB.
The Wraith King, he's got Reincarnation up. So you're going to have to go through 2 lives, and the TPs are making their way over. DB, stick charges again. Not going to be enough to survive the first life, but he's got help now. The Bat Rider has been stunned up by an arrow, so they can just go straight after Raging Potato. They do secure the killers. Now they go on to BDZ. They even found the Hoodwink. So a great turnaround from Army Geniuses. It looked bad at the start, but it just took so much time to get rid of DB's first life that they were able to rotate and secure his life and get a couple of their own. So I say that.
DB went top.
He went top. That's problematic, John, because Palos and RR are waiting there by the tree line. And DB, he is going to be blocked off. He'll try to phase boot his way through. Traps are going to slow him down. Palos will keep up the chase. They don't have any more Cinder Brew, or they do now with the cooldown, but no. They won't dive the tier 2 tower. They'll leave him be. And Palos, he lost his courier. He lost his Dragonlance. Meanwhile, Wommy goes down across the map, and so does Raging. It's like they killed each other off.
Yeah, it's a really good time for Execration right now, even with that kind of trade. Like, they're applying pressure on that top tier 1. Their TA is still getting free farm. Bob is still keeping up in farm as well on the Kunkka, despite being very active on the map. And that's all you really want. Like, the roughest time with TA in safe lane is if your meld level 1 doesn't pay off, and they didn't really punish that here from the side of AG. We just never saw the burst strike arrow combos we were looking for from LYM and Wami. So they kind of miss out on their laning power, and Execration now can start to think about just clearing out stacks. Bob's taking a few of the camps in the triangle area. They can start to try to pump some farm in onto Raging Potato, who's still saving up for the travels, but is not too far off from it. Just 500 gold away. Once he's got that move speed and presence on the map, you can expect more farm, more activity to kick in for Execration. And for AG, it feels like this is the point where it slows down a bit. The Ags is still being worked on by Mamang Daya. We are not close to a blink on Wami. He's trying to rush the Hood of Defiance first, and that's just going to set back their initiation here. They will play with a Moonlight, though.
They will.
Radiant are scanning.
AG. Oh, they found a nice target there. Palos. He's not going to see it coming either. They get out. Refraction. It's going to help a little bit. Looks like he's still safe. They even commit the egg just in case.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
So, the big kill they needed. They even went in blind for that. They didn't have detection, although X is here.
LYM, he gets a courier. He's going to get the X back into the boat. There are no leave charges available, actually, on the Murano, so LYM's gone. And meanwhile, RR, he does drop on the Brewmaster as well. He couldn't get the Primal Split off. He didn't have the mana. So, Army Geniuses, they're starting to fight back now. Raging. Oh, he spotted out DB. 10 seconds for that reincarnation. Can he get himself out in time? They have the lasso if they need it. It looks like they won't. The reincarnation's not going to be there in time either. Very unfortunate. As now Wami, well, they've still got the lasso. They won't quite have the mana for it. They won't have detection either, apparently. So Wami's out of there.
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
Bushwhack off the mark. X does connect, but they've got no more spells.
Yeah, and Execration, despite taking that early loss under TA, I think they're happy. They managed to trade a Wraith King afterwards. They already cleared a bot tier 1, so there's some space here for Palos to just keep farming up. They can't stop the TP on Mamangai, or can they? No.
Oh, very close. Bit too far though is top lane. Oh, nice block there. LYM not going to cop the sharpshooter thanks to the block of Wami. That was a very nice burrow strike out from our Sand King.
Yeah, they just line up, get the punishment by the tier 1. Just a bit too far forward there from Bob, although down mid.
Yeah, they've got DB now. DB, he's got reincarnation this time, but he's going to need some help. They're coming in. Bushwhack though, going to lock him down a bit longer. Do they have the damage? Not quite. He's going to be alright. He'll just walk away, raging. He'll posture just in case they wanted to chase. It's still an 8-8 though. 1k net worth lead the way of Execration. Still a very, very close game between these two teams.
Yeah, it's very tightly packed. Both teams are sort of playing aggressive while also buying space out for the pause once. I think Execration's had a better time in sort of enabling Palos compared to AG trying to enable DB. DB's under a lot more pressure from the movements of Execration, and RTA already has the Dragon Lance, saving up for what I'm going to assume is the Desolator next. Not too far off from hitting that big spike on the damage, and that's when the TA starts to get scary. Still the side of AG, if they manage to catch Palos out anytime soon, it's going to slow down that farm and give them the big kill they need. They just need to keep doing it over and over again. Wami, he's very close to the blink. I think they just want to wait for that blink first.
Gets a YM on that Mirana. Palos, he may have been caught now. Wami, he's trying to break the gap, but no. He can't get in range for the burrow strike, so Palos, he's going to see them revealing themselves and just gets right back into the jungle.
They haven't really contested him in there. He's just able to safely farm the bot area. You're not getting the same space for DB. There's always a hero keeping track. Raging's just kind of tailing him right now. You don't want to give too much space out to lose this mid-tier 1 as well. The push from Execration is a bit slow without the TA. So it's not like they can make major progress on the mid until the Deso is up, or if they throw the numbers. But just being this disruptive across the map, just having Raging take away the top lane farm from DB, it's already enough to give you a huge advantage. Like the comparison between DB and Palos, the gap is about 1.3k, and that's just so much better. Like Execration's farm split is just a lot tighter. Bob's number 2 right now, already with the Orchid. They can just look to line up and be aggressive if they actually did want to right now, but why look for that opening? You can just play farming games and win out with your TA.
Aghanim Scepter up on Mamangai. This is the time where they want to go because they've got so many Iron Shells that they can spam out. That bonus HP is quite annoying to play against as well. Very frustrating stuff here. The question is though, are they going to be able to find anyone to really abuse this Aghanim Scepter? They just may. Raging, he's at the top lane, hasn't really revealed himself though, and does back off at the correct time. They are not going to find anyone yet, so this Ags reveal, it's not going to be revealed yet. Oh, maybe it does. Raging, he came back. No power rune though, it's at the 16-minute mark. He's going to back again.
Yep, just again, Execration, when the game slows down like this, they do work that map fairly quick. There's still a wrap around the mid though, and the Moonlight's up.
Yep, they're going to go in. They've got the Burrow Strike on the Bat Rider, and in the end, they do get the kill. So it took them a while. They were dancing around Raging for a while, but they do get him as now BDZ. He's going to try and back, but UK is there and drops the egg immediately. It's a very early open egg though. Definitely not the position he wants it in. And now Execration, knowing the Phoenix and Egg are down, are going to try and capitalize, but Wami's looking to go back in onto BDZ and does get the hoodwink. Bob now, he's out of position as well. He'll get the boat out onto the Sand King, but he is still completely surrounded, dragged back into the wall. They should eventually have the damage to kill him, or maybe not. The arrow doesn't land. DB, no, they'll have Wami. He'll be there with the Burrow Strike. That'll be enough.
It's a nice set of kills for AG. Opens up the push on mid. And this is where the lineup is. It feels a lot nicer to push in. They don't have the skeletal army from DP though. So it's not going to be as quick as they'd want. And for Execration, it's starting to feel like they are going all in on giving Palace space. The Desolator is up on RTA. Blink almost up as well. They could.
Yeah, they've got the Batrider, but Bushwhack is there. BDZ, he's going to buy the time for Raging to try and get himself out, but the Sunray is going to burst him down. And Army Geniuses, off the back of Wami, continue to find some very nice kills.
Yeah, they're just doing a ton of work. Finding that mid-tier one as well, opening up the map a little bit more for this forward rotation. Still blinks up on Palos. Execration, they could look to show that off here.
We'll see. Wami, get out of that sandstorm. Dust isn't going to matter. He was already out.
Haste.
Like Bob wants to try and rush in and make use of this Orchid. Burrow Strike though, he's under vision again as they do get the Icarus Dive and the Sunray with the arrow, and that'll be Bob gone. They'll try with a Sharpshooter, but it does no damage. The Hood of Defiance just blocked all the magic damage out from BDZ's Sharpshooter. And Bob, you can't be the first one to die like that as the Kunkka. Otherwise your team, they just can't follow up.
That was super strange from Bob. Like, he got the information of the ward from the trap being placed. They had the sentry down earlier. He goes for the D ward and is immediately punished. And now they're going to take a 4 versus 5, although DB.
Well, there's your Bushwhack out, DB. He does have Reincarnate. They're going to try and turn. Wami, he's here, and they found the Brewmaster. No split. He doesn't get it off, and now onto BDZ. They found the Hoodwink. So DB, he loses his Reincarnation, but he gets a double kill for it. And that's going to give him just about enough gold to have the Radiance up.
Yeah, it's not the fastest Radiance here for DB, but it's still coming out in a timely manner, and that will make it a bit tricky for especially RTA to get the hits off. The burn evasion is always annoying. You're always going to constantly melt as well on the shield, and
oh, they found another Palos, but arrow, it doesn't land, but it won't matter.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
This combo is proving to be very strong now because you've got Wami who could just blink Burrow in. Doesn't even need to Epi, and with the Iron Shell of Mamang Daya, you get through the refraction, and it's a hell of a lot of damage in conjunction with the Sandstorm. It's just so much damage, actually. His mid lane, Lasso's there, they've got DB, the Sharpshooter's out, the boat will fly in. He has no Reincarnate, but the armlet toggles. It might just be enough, but no. They do get him down. Still, they'll go for the team fight, but there's your Tornado out. They've got Wami. That's the target they want to hold down as the Egg now is going to be committed on the high ground, and a Burrow Strike's there raging. He got caught for a second. The Egg will explode, and the stun does come out, and they got the bat. In fact, they even found Bob. Can they get him, though? That's a lot of damage from the Sunray in the Veil of Discord. Wami doesn't even need the Burrow Strike. UK gets it done. As now RR is going to have to try and back off. They might reinitiate now, but BDZ, he's been chased down by Mamang Daya. It's a slow, painful process, but Army Geniuses continue to come out on top.
yeah, their aggression is just starting to line up. It's the team fight combos. They've got all the magic damage right now. No early BKBs up yet. No early ways of preventing the magic damage from being a big issue as well. Like no pipe, no Hood of Defiances to keep themselves alive, and no Glimmer Capes. So AG's got the damage output, AG's got the control, and again, as long as they play around certain cooldowns, they're going to be fine. And if you keep catching heroes out like that, you don't even need those cooldowns. As you saw, they can just burn through the Kunkka with a Sunray, with a Veil up. There's just so much damage that AG has. And for Execration, they still need farm. Palos definitely needs the BKB up and running soon. He is farming for that next. Just lacks the recipe and the axe. So about 1,500 gold left until that's done. But AG's not going to give them that space to relax with.
They go into that Dire Triangle, or rather Dire Jungle again.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Run from Execration, gonna back off. Their back's against the ropes right now.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Quite hard to fight into the radiance of DB as he does reveal it underneath that tier 2 tower. The Burrow Strike is there, right on target. They got Raging Potato. The scan was out to give the information they needed, and they got the Bat Rider. BDZ, he's gonna back off. They might be able to trade tier 2 towers anyway,
Double damage.
but you're still gonna feel very happy if you're Army Geniuses.
Tower is under attack.
Yeah, I mean, the top tier 2 just feels a lot more impactful for AG because that cuts off even more rush. They are TPing for the defense though.
I mean, I guess they can, right? Burrow's there, Epicenter, Sandstorm, Palace, he's out of refraction, he might just die, but no. Epicenter proving not to be enough, and Wami, he's the one that will drop as the arrow is gonna land in the backside, and DB, he's gonna run right in for his prize. The Radiance might be enough, and yeah, it will be. Egg dropped, they'll protect their Wraith King. You know, as farmed as Palos is on this TA, it's not translating to the kills you need.
No, like he's just not ready to jump without that BKB, and he's just constantly farming in the bot lane and the bot jungle, trying to build up. And that means his team is constantly playing 4 versus 5. So when the engagements actually do break up for the side of AG and Execration, they're playing a man short. Their big investment in gold isn't there, and it doesn't really help you when they don't show up to fights. Now, Raging, he's all alone down the bot lane. He does have his blink. Oh,
He'll be fine. And if you're Execration now, you're kind of left playing the a very defensive kind of game, right? Like, you can't really go in right now to try and force a fight. You definitely are feeling like the weaker team, at least with their drafts. This Wraith King is going to be starting to hit really hard now, and at the same time, you can't really wait very long either, because DB is going to get a BKB up, and that's going to mean that all this damage from the Bat Rider and the Kunkka means nothing anymore. And then AC after that, that'll kind of just solve part of the TA issue. Just a bit more armor for the whole team. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah. It's going to boost their durability by a ton. And they're going to start to rely on really the lasso from Raging Potato. We need to see him catch them out when the BKBs start popping up, and that puts a ton of pressure on the Bat Rider. And so far, we haven't seen a big plays from Raging, although, Raging?
Yeah, he's deep. No way out for him now. He's going to try and run with the Firefly, but no, it's not happening. They've got him.
He blinked in towards a tier 1, trying to catch Mamang Daya or the creep wave. Either one doesn't make too much sense. Punished for it, and AG can start that Roshan. Rosh number 1, only the Aegis on hand, but without the lasso, it can be a bit difficult in isolating certain heroes here for Execration. They do still have the boat, but they need to figure out the Rosh is happening to contest it.
Is under attack.
Bob gets caught by the Burrow. Wami there to set up. Arrow is barely going to be dodged. He does get away from it. Still, Wami is really frontlining here, making sure they can take the Roshan. In Execration, they're not allowed to get near the Roshan pit, apparently. As DB, he'll just continue getting to work. And that'll be the Aegis going to the way of Army Geniuses. No contest.
Yep. 3 lives for DB early on. He does hit 18, so potentially 4 if it takes him a long time to die. And we're at that point of the game where the Wraith King is still really tanky, despite not having that AC or BKB up. So there might be enough time for DB to last through all the spells that Execration casts. Execration now, 4k behind, not the biggest gap. They still have Palos number 1 in that word, so there's something to play for, and they will smoke up. This is a smoke into Aegis, though. Have to be a bit cautious here.
Gonna try 3 lives on DB. Primal Split is there. They've got the Bat Rider too, Raging. He can't get the initiation. They knew they were coming. Boat is there onto DB. It'll hold him back for a little bit, but he's more than happy with this. A completely failed smoke. And now, if you're Army Geniuses, you're starting to look at that mid-tier 2 tower.
Oh yeah, there's nothing to fend them off from that. They know without the lasso, they've got pretty good shots just taking that objective off. Really good position for DB. Like, he was just behind that gank the entire time, so they couldn't go for the big target to commit to. And now, if AG can just commit for that tier 2, it would be better, but they might just feel a bit unsafe here.
They're under vision. LYM gonna get caught. They've got the Orchid, they've got the Sharpshooter, and he's kind of just stuck standing there. Meanwhile, Palace is gonna go in onto Wami. Army Genius is a bit of a mistake, just kind of splitting up. At that point, you kind of want to go into the triangle together. UK, he does have the egg up. He's going to pop it. Burrow Strike going to do nothing as the BKBs have been expended. And now Execration. They're just going to rush in. They'll find one life. And without any help around that, well, that's a big vacuum wall. But is it going to matter? The boat flies in. The damage is so high. But they got the Aegis anyway. They'll leave the real life alone. They don't mind. They got the Aegis. They got 3 kills for the price of 1. Definitely very favorable there for Execration.
Yeah, a nice win for them. They managed to take a big trade this time around. AG, the split up really cost them. They didn't commit them to the tier 2. They kind of retreat one by one. They hang around under vision. Wami, before he died, popped his BKB. Like right as he was about to fall. So he loses out on his first charge as well. And that's never a great feeling, no matter what hero you play. Execration on a bit of an upswing. And they're starting to find some openings. If they can keep catching AG while they play greedily, while they're split up, they can break them apart one by one. And I think that's going to be key to Execration's success in really turning this game around. It is still fairly even. 2K lead is all that you have on AG, so it's not massive. And you have to still worry about the TA. The damage is starting to pile in here. Palos has the Crystallis up. Probably going to look for the Daedalus down the line. And once he's allowed to finish that up, it gets pretty scary just how much the TA can pump out in these fights. Like, the crits are just going to drop you down like crazy. Even with the AC up, like, it's still a ton of damage.
Certainly is. It's one thing, like, small little errors costing them another kind of Aegis and team fight. Just not good news for AG. Giving Execration a way back into this game, even though they were struggling quite a bit. Palos is just so darn close now to that full Daedalus up. You know, Execration, it's been a bit of a rough game for them, but eventually they could be problematic. So you do have a Refresher Orb now up on Mamang Daya. So he's going to have a double vac wall. He's going to have even more Iron Shells to throw out. That vac wall, it does do a hell of a lot of damage. I mean, those illusions, they hurt quite a bit. So that could be one of the keys here to winning the next team fight against Execration. But you've also got to be careful not to get blown up.
Yeah, I think it's less about the vac wall itself, but more of the follow-up. It's the Burst Strike from Wami, it's the egg that can fly in, it's the Sunray onto all heroes. That's really giving them that damage output. So I think they really need to nail that combo every single time. Execration, they're smoked up. They're going to have the Ags on Bob soon as well. Like that's going to be big. It's just such a disruptive spell. Your BKB being popped for that isn't really what you want in some points if it comes out early, or if you pop your BKB first. Torrent Storm comes out and you suddenly can't do anything in the middle of the team fight. Just such a nuisance of a spell that should make AG think twice in these engagements. The smoke doesn't play out from Execration, but the side of AG, they're clumped up as a team now. They just need to catch someone out.
Dude, they do catch out though. Into the triangle they go. Not really finding anyone out yet, and then of course the traps are going to give that vision that lets you know that they are around. AG. I mean, they're still going to be able to get the triangle, so I mean, you still kind of push Execration out of that area. Bomb's got a full Aghanim Scepter up now though, so the team fight for Execration does suddenly look a hell of a lot better. They might want to just try and force a fight. Oh, DB. He's right in. He wants to go after Palos on the TA, and, well, BKB's out. He's going to try and fight. He does have a DD room bottled up, but he's going to wait for the first life to end. Meanwhile, on the backside, they've got the lasso out onto the Phoenix, but nobody's bursting him down. But no, there's the sharpshooter. DB, he's going to keep going after Bob, but he doesn't have the damage output, and now needs to back off before that BKB wears out, and it's gone. But the back wall, the Burrow Strike, the parallel walls, they're all been dropped. They burst them down. The buybacks are there, though. Wami. Alright. Still trying. DB gets to work. Alright, he does end up dropping. A nice X in the mid lane.
Under attack.
Marks the positions at where Execration died.
Yep. That's a real X marks the spot, not the phony copycat from the Kunkka. That's the big X. And AG, it looked a bit shaky at first. They were forced to buy back on UK, but it's very worthwhile. It opens up the high ground a bit. They still have Reincarnate on DB. And they're not going to have both. They're not going to have... Well, they will have both. They won't have Lasso. There's still a split ready to go as well. And the Ags is all done on our Brew. So there's more tools to play with, but they have to be careful. They could just lose the set of racks mid.
DB just getting to work. That'll be enough. They don't finish off the racks. They don't want to overextend. They did still have a reincarnation life available on their Wraith King, but they don't want to use it right now. So I think everyone's just kind of out of spells and out of HP and mana as now. Raging wants to try and capitalize, but he does get the flame breaks out. UK, he's just going to pop an egg. Burrow Strike is there as well. They're going to try and burst down the egg. Do they have enough time for it? It looks like they will. No, they don't. UK, he gets out of there. I think the uphill miss there from BDZ cost them that one as DB. He still has reincarnation. They'll bushwhack him up, but the Sunray's going to heal him up. He's fine. Surge in. They want to try and reinitiate now.
Under attack.
Can they get anyone?
Dire's bottom tower
Not quite.
has fallen.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, Execration still finds one. They take care of Wami, but they don't manage to get more. And that was on the edge. I think I saw Palos kind of sidestep on the egg. There is a smoke reinitiate here. Oh, Execration could catch them off guard if they start to poke into the triangle.
DB. Some skeletons out. Bob gonna have his smoke broken. Execration, it seems like they're not gonna be able to find much.
Yeah, and AG, I don't think they mind to stall out too much. They've got the lead. They still run the risk of getting this TA to the point where it's way too big, but AG, well, they've waited long enough that the refresh is back up, so double wall, double vac, 4 Iron Shells coming out of the 5 heroes. That's going to be big when they play the clump up here. And that's something Execration needs to be weary about. And if they've lost to it once, they can't afford to lose to it again. And that could just spell the end of a racks or 2 racks, even if AG wants to really push the envelope here. As they are smoked up, looking to rotate on the top jungle, the side of Execration. I think they might have spotted that one out on the triangle area, so they're just staying in base, playing safe, holding out. There's no Roshan yet for a minute, so AG doesn't have much else to play for beyond just clearing out the jungle.
I mean, it looks like they just want to set up for the next Roshan. Still going to be about 50 seconds away till that Roshan does spawn up, so a bit of a wait, but they are going to control that jungle area. Meanwhile, BDZ doing classic BDZ things, just trying to push out the bot wave and force them back to try and defend. But in the end, as long as you've got DB around that Roshan pit, you're not really going to have any issues taking the Roshan down. It's just about being able to fight against Execration once they make their way in. And of course, with the boat and the Torrent Storm and everything else, they've got so much team fight around that Roshan pit. Still AG, they will wait very patiently. 10 more seconds to go for that Roshan. They'll have first dibs. We'll see if Execration can actually fight back in this Roshan pit now. I think they should be able to.
Yeah, they've got the double split ready on RR. All their spells are set to go. It's just that they don't have vision. They don't have a TP point as well. They are hanging around by the mid-ramp area, so that should give them some small distance to walk up to, but they need to move now. Roche has started Execration. It looks like they do have a rough idea. They're not going in smoke, but there's no vision just yet from AG either. They don't fully commit, and that could cost them. DB is just going to do it by himself.
And he will.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Egg out, just in case. It's just a zoning egg. I think it's perfectly fine for AG to just commit it. You do expect Execration to try and go for the fight. Execration. I mean, at least now for them, there is going to be an egg on cooldown, but if you're Army Geniuses, you're just going to wait. You're not going to try and force a fight without the egg. You'd rather just kind of give it a bit of time and hopefully wait out the egg, but I suppose maybe they're going to be forced in a second as Raging. He's in position for a lasso. Arrow's going to get vision. DB, no, they are forcing it. They're just going to rush in for this one. Bat Rider has been stunned up. The 4 staffs are there. Flame Break as well. They're going to maybe kite out DB here. Bushwhack does hold him down. A lot of sticky napalm on DB at the moment. Really starting to stack up. Another Flame Break, but the Burrow strikes in onto the Bat Rider. DB gonna pop the BKB now, goes straight after Raging. However, they have lost LYM and they've lost UK. They will get Raging Potato. But what's it gonna cost them here? DB, he's gonna lose his first life at least. Burrow Strike, Epicenter is there. Wami trying to go back in onto Palos. He'll get his BKB up. The wall is dropped as well. DB, he's got the Aegis still, along with probably a secondary reincarnation, as there's your refresh up from among Dire. Another wall down. Palos, he's trying to get away, but it looks like he probably won't make it, as DB does secure the kill onto Bob as well. They have the Conquer. They'll get the stun out. They'll just chase him down. He'll try to BKB through the damage, and looks like he is going to be alright to TP out. But in the end, even without the Phoenix or the Mirana, they still managed to make the team fight quite fruitful for them.
Yeah, they just catch out the right heroes. You do not want to jump this Wraith King first now in Execration. DB's just too big. It takes too much time, takes too much investment to kill off the Wraith King. That there's always enough time for AG to come back in. They're going to lose their last outer tower here. And then the high ground, it can be opened up as, you know, reincarnates back up for DB. They could look to just go again. The egg is ready to go, no refresh, so no double wall, no double vac. That could be what AG waits for before forcing any further objectives, but they're in a good position on the map. No room here for Execration to really farm.
No, absolutely not. DB looking for another target. Not going to be able to find someone like BDZ. He's in that Invis rune and will remain safe. They're very close to having the Swift Link up on DB, so you could wait that out, but with the 3 lives still up on DB, it feels like there's no reason to wait for the Swift Link. It's like a luxury item anyway. You may as well go ahead and claim the racks, see if you can force a buyback out of Palos. Of course, he only has 10 seconds left, so he doesn't want to commit the buyback. And there's a lasso. They're going to try and force a fight early. Buy time for Palos to respawn up as DB. He is so darn deep now. They've dragged him right behind the Ancient. They'll get the first reincarnation, but the blink away is there from DB. X-Boat, everything being thrown. They want that Aegis down. They might just be able to get it. That'll be the Aegis life. This is the one that matters though. The epicenter. Burrow is there. BDZ, he's going to be going down. He'll use up Wami for a second, but he'll be fine as the back wall is there. Onto 4 heroes. Can they take anyone down though? Raging, he's quite low. No, it's BDZ. That'll be a dieback on the Hoodwink. Back in onto Bob. He's going to just melt to the critter DB. He does have a buyback and will commit, but now Palos, he's been chased down. A Burrow strike there. They've got the TA. DB's on a double. Wall again being dropped. Tips in the middle of this team fight. It is RR. He's dropping to the Spirit Vessel. He'll try to run and juke out of the tree line, but it looks like he is set to fall. Eventually, as they'll get him. A triple kill out for DB now. And that means, John, you can go for Mega Creeps.
Yep, they can just clear it out. No outer towers left. The wave up top's going to be shoved in. They do force the buyback. But that was really clutch from AG. The clutch use of cheese on DB, managing to really give him that next life to stay alive, to get the damage off. They reset with a Phoenix heal. No refresh again in this fight, but the refresh just went off in the middle of that last fight to get that follow-up wall, and Mamang Dai is just trying to zone them out. Creep wave's coming back up. Backdoor's gone. They still have the buyback in Palos. Respawns are short. AG, they could be punished for overstaying if they're not careful.
You've still got the reincarnation though, that's the thing. It's just, it's so hard, but they, oh, Burrow Strike is there, Wami's in, Arrow is not going to connect, Raging, he'll get a nice lasso, dragging him out of the boat, but gets him into the tier 4 towers this time. Maybe this will work, there's a vacuum out now, Bushwhack, BKB, DB, he's just going to TP out right in front of them. See you later. Mamang Daya, Well, Flame Break is going to connect, but is it going to matter? He'll have a surge in a second. He'll get the Scythe of Vice out onto Raging Potato as well, and he's a man on the run. Palos is still chasing him down with a trap out, but the blink, oh, it's going to be cancelled off. Looks like they will get Mamang Daya. So he even dropped the walls down. But in the end, 2 racks is up now for Army Geniuses and Execration. The game has just gotten infinitely harder for them.
Yeah, they're gonna have to really start to shove out a bit. Now they do have good wave clear, good shove potential with the Kunkka, with a Bat Rider even, and the TA. So they're not gonna be too hard pressed up against one lane of super creeps and one lane of melee ranged super creeps as well. It's still manageable for Execration. Issue is they're so far behind in gold. 17k lead is up for AG. The damage output of DB is just way too high, and the team fight is really ramping up. As these BKBs start to ramp down, it works a lot better for AG, and I think Raging's been really trying hard to catch out DB, but he's not the issue. I think you actually want to kill off Mamang Daya first, or Wami. If you take out the Sand King or Darkseer first with the lasso, you line yourself up for these team fights a lot better. Just ignore the Wraith King. Right, like that's the best you can do. This guy's just so tanky, so big. You might as well just leave him alone.
Palos literally left the Minotaur Horn behind on purpose. He pings it out after he leaves it. Like, you could just pick it up, Palos. You don't need... He needs to make his supports work. Like, BDZ, he's pinging it out while BDZ's there. Like, hey, Hoodwink, get this item. I don't have time to click on that.
Yeah, efficiency. You gotta make every single click count, you know?
Oh, it's ridiculous. These carry players, John, they have it too good these days, I tell you.
Fair enough, yeah. I remember when we support players used to have it very bad. Right? You had to pay for rewards, pay for the courier, pay for the upgrade.
What courier? Used to be an SCA,
I mean,
John. No courier is necessary.
Yeah, that was even worse. But you know, someone's always got a cave. I remember so many offlane games where I had to buy courier. Never felt good. Those were the days.
Just didn't buy it. Just let them. You don't want a courier? All good, no problem. No support, no courier. Nobody's getting a courier. We'll all walk back to the fountain. All good.
Man, Mike, that sounds fairly unpleasant to play with, Mike. I would still buy it just to get it over with.
I'm sorry. The one game I get caught, my supports want to be like a Pudge and some other garbage, and they just don't want to buy anything.
That's how it goes.
Bring those days
I
back.
I do commiserate with Pudge players. I'm a Pudge player, Mike. I enjoy it, so I can understand the feeling. Still, Execration, not a good feeling for them. Yeah, I do. I actually do. It's fun. As long as I'm having fun, I don't really care. I want to play Pudge. That's it. Still, Execration, this feeling's not great as well. 13k behind. They do have the Nullifier up on Palos, so more options for these fights to lock in someone. More control for Sado Wraith King. And we'll see if it's going to be enough to turn the tides here. Swift Blink has been running as well on Palos, so he's got the damage once he blinks out. They just need to not clump up, which is easier said than done with the wide AoE on Vac. And Mamang Daya has just been setting up so well with a follow-up on Wami. It's just a team fight wombo combo. It's too strong coming out from AG, and they smoke up now.
Step lively
That they
now.
do.
Your admiral is on board.
Execration, they get an idea that something's awry here, so they're gonna back off. AG not gonna be able to really find the opening they're looking for. They're probably gonna wait out the next Roshan attempt.
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
I doubt they go high ground again. Like, you'd rather just get another Roshan. Have 3 lives on DB. There's no rush for them. And Roshan's up in a minute. It's not that long of a wait either. But for Execration, they're going to get into a Burrow Strike apparently from Wami. Lasso's there. That'll cancel the Epi, but not for long. He does end up getting it off in the end. Egg as well right in the middle, but they do burst it down UK. His life is forfeit. And the Torrent Storm doing a lot of work as Mamang Daya. He can't get some walls down. He finally does, and he found a great target. They got Palos on the TA. He's down with a buyback. DB's in on the Bat Rider. They'll get Raging Potato too. He's going to buy back immediately, but how do you defend without your carry? Bob? He'll TP back to the fountain. Arrow's not going to be on the mark. But you've got no TA now. It's a very tough defense to ask for the side of Execration. In fact, Hex is there. They found Raging. This could be another dieback, and it looks like it may just be as the Force Staffs are going to help him out in the Bushwhack. Does just save the day. Primal Split committed as well, but TB, he's happy to fight them. No problem. 3-on-1, I'll take it. Torrent is nice. Sharpshooter's there as well into LYM.
Dire's structures are fortified.
They're trying to buy some time for this TA to be back up and online. Burrow Strike again. Wami is in. The arrow is going to connect onto the Kunkka. More Force Staffs to get him out. There's a massive Icarus dive in from UK to get the vision, and they will get bombed. The DB throughout all of this is still alive through the armlet toggles. Looking for more as Wami has dived in. They do lose the reincarnation. It won't matter though. They got RR. They might just get BDZ. And there's only a Batrider left. Raging, he's going to run and try to clear some creeps, it looks like. In fact, no, he's back at the fountain now. The game's over.
Oh yeah, there's no way. Like, Raging can one-man defend. Tier 4 is under siege. Execration, they do call it now. And Army Geniuses, I mean, they just play so well. Like, they have this mid Darkseer of all things that just carries through, hits this Ag's timing, gets the refresh, sets up the team fights. DB as well, playing on the bleeding edge of that Wraith King, just constantly going forward. And the Wraith King was the hero that we saw AG really succeed with as well. So they get some key comfort picks, and at least for DB here. I don't think Execration expected their mid to really get smashed like that. Like, they last picked the Kunkka. They swap it out for... they don't last pick. They fourth pick the Kunkka. They swap out the TA onto Palo's safe lane to kind of avoid the Darkseer lane, because it came out that Mamangai was doing it. So they had enough time to swap their heroes around, but it still doesn't work. Like, Bob couldn't do as much as he wants to around the map. And Raging, a couple of times, he just kept going for the lassos on DB. Now, that was in the base. They were trying to drag back to the fountain. But if he just had any other lasso targets there, like literally, if they kill Wami or Mamangdai first somehow and take the team fight after, I think taking off the Vac wall, taking off that Burrow Strike would have enabled Execration to do more. And they just couldn't. Like, Army Geniuses got that spacing out and forced Execration to play that way.
All right, fair enough, John. We are going to have to head off to a short 10-minute break. But right after that break, we'll be back with Game 2 between Army Geniuses and Execration.